Good Shabbos, everyone. We begin on page 142, welcoming the angels, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem LeShalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Marchuni LeShalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzeitchem LeShalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We read together on page 124 at the top of the page. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. And we turn back to page 120 for our candle lighting blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav mitzivanu lehatlik ner shel Shabbat. And for those who are able, we rise for our Kiddush 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'asei v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zeichel yitziat Mitzrayim Kivanu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim B'Shabbat קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. Please be seated. We read together on 127. At the top of the page. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace, and turn to page 138. Please sing with me, L'chadodi. L'chandodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. L'chandodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise as we greet Shabbat HaMalkah. בואי ושלום עטרת מעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה בואי חלה לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. We turn to page 144 as we read, 145 as we read together. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Our Chatzi Kaddish on the opposite page. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chay lechol beit Yisrael Bagala u'vizman kariv ve'imeru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam ulal me'almaya yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitandar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudshah בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ואימרו Amen. And for those who are able, we rise for our Baruch Hu on the next page. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Ba'ed HaMevorach le'olam ba'ed. Please be seated. We read together in the Hebrew on 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach she'arim ובתבונה משנה עיתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We sing of God's everlasting love, 150. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochveinu uvkumeinu, nasiach mechukecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמשפטיך מצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם בלילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד, שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם, לעולם ועד. We chant 154 together. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We turn to page 157 and read together on the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Our song of redemption on the next page, Mi Chamocha. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osei fele, Nora tehilot Yosef ele Adonai Meloch leolam vaed Malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze Elianu ve'amru Ze Elianu ve'amru Adonai Meloch leolam vaed Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 dai. At the top of 161 we read, Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. On the next page, or on the opposite page, excuse me. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. 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 163 at the top. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. B'Shamiru. B'Shamiru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'torotam berit olam beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti le'olam le'olam ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת מי נפש. For those who are able, we rise for our tefillah 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated if it is your tradition, and we read together page 173. At the bottom of the page. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat, on the very next page. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Be'amcha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel U'tehil l'ratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael, Yisrael Amecha, El Karov Lechol Kore'ah Fenei Elavatecha V'choneinu Shefoch Ruchacha Aleinu B'techazena Eineinu B'shuvcha l'Tzion B'rachamim Baruch atah Adonai Hamachazir Shechinato Letzion. At the top of 179 we read, Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Betov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael bashalom. We take a few moments for private prayer. ratzon imre fi. Yihul ratzon imre fi. Vehegion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri vegoali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you. O God, my rock and my redeemer. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, me'imeru, amen. It's at this time that we think of those in our community who are in need of healing of body and spirit. We think of Sophia Barry, Mary Lynn Bates, Margaret Bell, Orit Cohen, Lydia Cutler, Jennifer King, Cindy Land, Robin Lazarus, Marilyn Leeds, Ruth Lishkoff, Richard Magnani, Stephen Muss, Ron Ostreicher, Chad Petrovsky, Malka Batrachel, Bob Renault, Stanley Rubenstein, Jerry Sklar, Georgia Solomon, and Alan Unger. If you are thinking of someone else this evening and would like to share a name, please do so by rising or doing so when my eyes meet yours. For all those names mentioned out loud and those still in our hearts, we sing our Misha Berach 371. Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha La'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Good Shabbos, everyone. So this week's Torah portion, Shlach, includes the story of the spies, the scouts, and when they return from the land, it is a moment filled with doubt. They speak about the giants who live there and their fear that they do not have the military might to continue their conquest, to continue their journey as a people. So I want to briefly share with you a lesson I was taught connecting this moment in our Torah to the themes of hope and hopelessness. So there's an argument that says that when you have hope, you're just giving in to your imagination. If you'd only be more realistic, then you'd understand that your imagination is leading you astray. And this really is the counter-argument against hopefulness, and it makes a solid case much of the time. It seems so much more rational and grounded than hope. So what's the counter-argument for this counter-argument? Does reality really defeat hope? So if we look back at our Torah portion this week, it tells us that on the night that the spies reported back, the people lifted up their voices and cried. The particular expression being used for lifting up their voices and crying is an expression that's used in the Torah to convey hopelessness, the sense that maybe something is slipping through your fingers and just will never return. There are plentiful examples of this, but because I'm keeping this fairly brief, I'm going to spare you the list. So the text goes on, the people complained to Aaron and to Moses, and they said, "Lu matnu, if only we had died in Egypt or in this desert. If only we had died. Why did God bring us to this place even? Just to die by the sword? Wouldn't it just be better to go back to Egypt?" And then one man or another says to his friend, "Let's appoint ourselves a new leader and go back." So if we look at these three verses carefully, and specifically we look at the role that Egypt plays specifically in each of these verses, we find a pattern. There are three stages. In the first verse, if only we had died in Egypt or in this desert, how central is Egypt to that? I would argue, not really. The main point of the verse is, if only we had died in some other place and hadn't had to go through this strife. It doesn't really matter where. Then we look at the next verse. Why did God bring us to this place? Wouldn't it be better for us to just go back to Egypt? And once again, Egypt may be a little bit more central, but still not the main idea of the verse. The main idea is, how come we were brought here and made to go through this? But the focus on Egypt is maybe intensifying. And finally, one person said to his fellow, "Let's find a leader and go back to Egypt." Now Egypt is central. What's happened here is a snowball effect. They started talking about Egypt tangentially, and then Egypt somehow works its way more and more into their consciousnesses until it is the center, till everything revolves around it. This fantasy that we can just abandon our plan and go back because those were the good old days has insidiously planted itself front and center. So the argument then is, Egypt is better, it's a better place to live, a better place to die. But let's subject that to some rational analysis. Is dying in Egypt any better than dying by going to fight against the giants in the land of Israel? The people's argument is that to go to battle against the land is hopeless. They would say, "We understand the reality. We know that we could never conquer the land. You fools have dared to hope, to imagine a better future." But you know what hopelessness is really doing here? It's the fuel for hopelessness that's actually imagination as well. It's just that instead of directing imagination toward the future, the hopeless person directs it toward the past. That past, it was so wonderful. Why did we ever change it? Things were so much better then. But in this case, as in with many, the past was horrible. That's why the people of Israel left. The hopeless mind, the imagination began to work to transform not the future, but the past in this case. So what the hopeless part of them was saying is, I'm a realist. I don't give in to my imagination. But this was a lie. In the end, we always imagine. So the only question is, what are we choosing to imagine? To imagine a better future or a better past? The beautiful thing about this is that we can actually train our minds to go to the more positive place. We can't influence the past, but we do have at least some control over our futures. We have at least a shot through our own efforts to be able to imagine and create a better tomorrow. I have no chance to change the past, so I encourage everybody to use your imagination, give yourselves the courage to make a better future come alive. It's what imagination is for. Shabbat Shalom. We continue on page 586, and we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu leshameach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Temple Emanu-El remembers the following yahrzeits this week. Selma Schoenholtz Abrams, Marissa Levine Apolinsky, Molly Hess Becker, Rosalie W. Black, A. Max Boxer, Leon Roy Berger, Evelyn S. Berger, Jacob Berger, Ben Cooley, Alan J. Cutler, Ruth Datinoff, Arthur Chester Dorn, Ruth Elkin, Lillian Finkelstein, W. Paul Hester, Patty Perlman Irwin, P. D. Johnson, General William Henry Kelly, Averett Lackey, Ann T. Lehman, Vivian Kaplan Levingston, Isidore Lichtenstein, Margaret D. Lyon, Beatrice McGillner, Simon Meyerson, Lenora Pate, Max Perlman, Faye Risen, excuse me if I mispronounced that, Mary Stern Rich, Ernest David Rosemore, Joseph M. Russakoff, Eva M. Sachs, Julia Simon, Benjamin Singer Jr., Yetta Slive, Sydney Sokol, Erwin B. Steiner, Sally Stevens, Joe Weinstein, Morton L. Weiss, Leonard Wertheimer Sr., Miriam Grafman Wolfson, and Sarah Zeldin. We also think of those who have passed in the last 30 days for Shloshim. Ben Gordon, son of Adam Gordon and brother of Leah. Barbara Hershowitz, mother of Edward, David, and Vanessa. And Susan Madelson Corin, aunt of Marilyn Rothstein. If you are thinking of an additional loved one today and would like to rise, please feel free to do so now. And we rise as one holy community for our Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha, Brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, me'imeru amen. We conclude with a song of hope, Hatikva, page 678.
Kol od balevav penima, nefesh Yehudi homia, ulfatei mizrach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia. Od lo avda tikvateinu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liotam chofshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim, liotam chofshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.